Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to look at the obscene amount of books that I have bought during the first quarter of 2024. So at the beginning of 2024, I went on my Notion and created a board that was allowing me to track the books that I bought, only with the intention that it would show books that I wanted to pre-order because new releases were coming out in 2024 that I wanted to make sure that I had purchased. So I went originally at the beginning of the year, listed out all the books and the months that they were supposed to be released, and then I would go back and kind of highlight them and annotate if I bought them or if I pre-ordered them. Just that was it. I had no intention of doing a massive book buying spree in 2024 because one of the goals that I have for 2024 is to read the books that I have on my physical TBR. I wanted to be able to say that I have read 75% of the books that I currently own, I have read. Buying more books goes against that entire concept. So I never intended to buy a bunch of books. However, that was not the case. And in today's video, we're going to do like a book buying tag video talking about all the books that I bought, why I bought them, where I bought them, and I also might go ahead and annotate or let you know whether I have read them or not. So these are going to be all the books that I bought from January until April of 2024, and I'm very nervous and I can only anticipate what this is going to actually look like. So I do have, like I said, on my Notion, a board that lists all of the books that I have bought. So we are going to go ahead, get all the books, put them on the floor, and then we're going to chat. This is not going to be fun, and I'm going to be very, like, my credit card is probably not happy about this, but I'm hoping that you are happy. So let's go and pull all of these books.
Tick-tock, the clock keeps ticking. I don't know what I should do, and I wish you would be right here with me. My mind is filled with pictures of when we used to dance, but now I don't know where you are. I missed you so bad, won't you come back to me? I've got you in my head, you're all that I see. I've lost all my chances, I know that I am too late.
This is how many books I bought in 4 months. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41 books in 4 months. That's a lot. All right, let's talk about it. Okay, so we are going to start with the month of January because I do have these broken out by months. So we're going to begin with January and work all the way to, oh gracious, to April. All right, so in January, I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books. We have Fragile Enchantment. This was an Owl Crate book, so I technically didn't buy it. I was part of my subscription. I have since canceled it because I'm getting too many books that really don't interest me, but this does interest me. I have yet to read it. I have tried to read it for a couple of months and it hasn't made the cut, but do like it. I do plan on reading it because it is, I think, a premise that I'm going to enjoy. I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. The next books that I bought were House of Earth and Blood and House of Sky and Breath. I bought these because the newest Crescent City book was about to be released, and these were Barnes & Noble exclusive editions of book 1 and book 2. So I bought these with the intention of wanting to read the Crescent City series as soon as I got done with ACOTAR. And so far, I haven't read this yet. I do plan on reading it, but they are very big books, and I haven't really heard that much good things about Crescent City as a whole. So I'm kind of nervous, but I did buy these with the intention of reading them because I wanted to continue on with the Sarah J. Maas universe now that I have finished Throne of Glass, ACOTAR so far, and then this is the next series that I did want to pick up. I just have not picked it up yet. And then we have Ninth House and Hellbent. I have read Ninth House. I actually did a video of me reading this, and this was the video of I read some of my favorite YouTubers' favorite books. So I did read this. I was planning on reading this last month, and I just didn't have enough time to try to read it with everything else that I wanted to read as well. This was also a Barnes & Noble exclusive book, so I bought this with the intention of wanting to read them because of Heather McLary. She was the one that really does enjoy this book. So I did read, and I do plan on reading actually pretty soon. I'm hoping I'll be able to maybe get to it in the month of May, or if not, the month of June. And then we have Brandon Sanderson. So I bought all of these books at the same time at a used bookstore. So I have Brandon Sanderson's Skyward, which is a series, I think. This is Starlight, which is, I think, is the sequel. This is the sequel to this book. I don't know anything about these, but Brandon Sanderson is so hard to find at a used bookstore, specifically bigger, like not the mass market paperbacks, like these bigger book editions, and having them in such good condition. I just could not pass it up. So I did buy Skyward, which was $10, and then we had Starlight, which I bought for also $10, and these were very good new editions. So got them, saw them at the used bookstore and had to pick them up. I have not read any of the Brandon Sanderson books, but I have them just in case I feel like I wanted to pick them up. And then we also have Oathbringer, Words of Radiance, and The Way of Kings. Again, these were at the used bookstore. Overall, like the look of them are very good. They don't look very well used. This one obviously does have, it looks like it was in the sun a little bit, so it's got a little bit of bleaching to it. But all of these were bought because they were at the used bookstore, like I said. This one was $14.95. This one was $14.95. And this one was $14.95. So being that they are such big books, and they're just so, Brandon Sanderson is such a popular author that I saw these in the used section and I had to get them, even though I didn't have any intention of reading these anytime soon. But I'd never seen them, so I had to buy it. So those were all of the books that I bought in the month of January. Now we're going to go to the month of February, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books that I bought. So the first 3 books that I bought were again at that used bookstore, and they were the Cassandra Clare Dark Artifices, books 1, 2, and 3. We bought these, or I got, let's see, the Queen of Air and Darkness. I bought for $7.95, pretty good condition. Then Lord of Shadows, really good condition. Bought this for $3.50. And then Lady Midnight, very good condition. This one was $5.95. So if I see at the used bookstore good editions of books that I wanted to read at some point, but they weren't really on my radar, I will automatically pick them up because sometimes these used bookstores are really hard to find good condition of these books. So I pick them up as soon as I see them, even if they might not be what I want to read right away. I go ahead and buy them just so that way I have them whenever it gets to the point that I do want to read them. Then we have also at the used bookstore, I found Dance of Thieves, and this one was $2.95. This one did have, it has been read and it's kind of well used. The binding or the spine is cracked, but I honestly don't really mind it. If I end up really, really liking this book, I might go ahead and buy a newer edition of it, and then I'll just return this back to the used bookstore. But I have not read this. I have been on the hunt for the second book, which I think is Vow of Thieves. Yeah, I have not found the Vow of Thieves book used yet, but I am on the hunt for it, so that way I'll have it. But Bought this used, have not read it, plan on reading it, and I just have not gotten to it. Then we have The Heartless Hunter. This was an Owl Crate book. Again, didn't pick it out. It was part of my subscription. This is actually on my radar to read for the month of May. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get through with it. This also is on Kindle Unlimited, so I have downloaded it for Kindle, so that way I can go ahead and read that on my Kindle instead of potentially ruining the spine and the like sprayed edges of this book. But this will be read. I haven't read it yet, but it is on the docket for my May TBR. Then we have the Binding 13 and Keeping 13 and Saving 6. So this is book 1, 2, and book 3 of the Boys of Tommen series. And I have read all of 3 of these books already. And then the last book that I bought was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I have not read this. I wanted to read this in the month of March, I think, but I just never was able to read it. This will be read within the next couple of months because I have been really dying to read this. I just have not had a chance to read it yet. So those were all of the books for the month of February. And now we're going to move into the month of March. And I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. First book I bought at Barnes & Noble. This one was part of a buy one, get one 50% off deal. That's the only reason I bought it. And it was The Vampire Diaries. I tried to read this last month and I DNF'd it because the characters and the personalities of the characters, they just did not jive with the Vampire Diaries TV show and those characters' personalities, and I just couldn't get by it. So this I ended up DNFing the first book because this is the Awakening book, and the Struggle is in this one book, and I DNF'd the Awakening at like 70%, and I couldn't get behind it. I just had to give up. So I did buy The Vampire Diaries from Barnes & Noble with the full intention of just buying this because it was a buy one get one deal, and that's why we have this. Say You Swear, I bought this on Amazon. This I did read. This I did love. This was an amazing book. I think this is going to be in another edition. I think I saw or heard they are releasing this in a different version. I think it's being published, like traditionally published. But if that's the case, I will be buying this book in a different edition because I absolutely love this book. This will be a reread. It is amazing. Made me cry. Amazing book. If you have not read it, read it. Go in blind without knowing what the book is about. That is how I read it, and I think that made it so much more memorable to me because I did not know what the story was and what was going to happen. So great book. Loved it. Will want everybody to read. And then we have The Ravens. This was the other part of the buy one get one deal at Barnes & Noble. I ended up buying this because my daughter, my oldest daughter, who is 14, was with me at the time, and she saw this and picked it out and said this is the book that I should buy. So bought this, haven't read it. I do want to read it, but I don't know anything about it. So we have this. And then we do have the One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. I bought these off of Barnes & Noble. This was for the video that was the favorite YouTuber's favorite books. I bought this because Sarah Caroli had read it and actually kind of enjoyed it. It was not one of her favorite books, but, you know, whatever. But I did read the first book. I have not read the second book. I do want to read it so I can finish this duology. But this book was decent. It wasn't my favorite book, but it wasn't a really bad book. So I'm hoping that this book will be better and pick up, and I'll be able to connect more with the characters because I'll be able to kind of know their personalities better for this book. So read, haven't read, will be reading in the future. Then we have Belladonna. I think I ended up buying this on Amazon because I don't think I found this at Barnes & Noble. I think this was sold out for some reason at my Barnes & Noble. But I did buy Belladonna. I have read it. I do know that there is Foxglove is book 2. And then there's another book that I think is coming out in 2024 for book 3. I will end up buying the second book. It's currently out now, but it's only in hardback, and I wanted to go ahead and get the paperback version. So at some point, whenever Foxglove does get published as a paperback, I will be picking that up. But I have read Belladonna and it was pretty good. Can't wait to read more of the series. And then we have Ruthless Vows. I ended up actually getting this from Owl Crate and I bought it, I want to say back in November of 2023. It actually came in March of 2024 with this beautiful sprayed edges and this beautiful cover. I have not read this because I have heard the second book is not as good as the first book, and that makes me upset. So this I will read at some point. I just haven't had a chance to read it, and it makes me nervous knowing that not that many people have enjoyed the second book, and so we'll see when I actually get to this. And then the last book that I bought in March was Redeeming 6. So I bought this on Amazon, and this was back ordered. Like, for some reason I wasn't able to get this until the month of March. But I did finally receive it, and I did already read it. It was so good. Really did enjoy Joey and Aoife's story, and yeah, good book. Wanted to read the Boys of Tommen series for so long, and finally was able to knock out books 1 through 4. And that is all the books in March. Now we're going to go to April. And I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 books in April. And so we have, the first book is Your Blood, My Bones. This was an Owl Crate book. This was my last Owl Crate book that I bought. I have since, like I said, canceled the subscription. I have not read this. I do not know anything about this book. I do like the cover. It looks very interesting, but haven't read it. I do want to read it because it does look interesting, but yeah. And then we have The Corpse in the Closet. I saw this at Target. This is by Lucy Score. And I know Lucy Score does a lot of romance books, and I saw this and it didn't sound like something that I had known Lucy Score to write previously. I've not read a lot of her books, but I saw this and I had to pick it up, and apparently it's about a person who, like, there's a corpse that's well dressed in a closet, and the character is trying to find out who murdered the person. So I don't know. It sounded interesting, and it wasn't what I expected a Lucy Score book to be, so I ended up picking this up from Target. Then we have from Barnes & Noble. I did buy the novellas for Shatter Me because one of the things I wanted to read in 2024 was I wanted to finish the Shatter Me series. I have read book 1, but I knew there were novellas that were scattered throughout the series, and I did not want to read through Shatter Me without reading the novellas kind of in the order that they're supposed to be. So I did end up buying Believe Me, Find Me, and Unite Me. And Unite Me and Find Me have 2 novellas in them. So Find Me includes Shadow Me and Reveal Me, and Unite Me includes Destroy Me and Fracture Me. So I bought all 3 of these from Barnes & Noble because I wanted to read the full Shatter Me series to include all of the novellas. And then I went ahead and picked up Abby Jimenez, Part of Your World. I have already read this. I read this from my library, I believe, and I wanted to have the full backlist of all of Abby Jimenez's books because I thoroughly enjoy all of her books. All of her books have been, I think, a 4.5 or higher. So I did want to go ahead and just pick up this. I have read it. I had read it before I even bought it, but this was just to have on my shelf as a full collection of Abby Jimenez's work. We have Powerful, this itty bitty little baby book. I was concerned when this came in the mail because I was not expecting it to be so tiny, but this is the novella to the Powerless book. So this is the story of the FMC's best friend in the Powerless series. This is the best friend's book. So I have not read it. I do want to read it. It is just a little bitty itty baby book, and we'll be reading this hopefully in the month of May. And then I bought 2 Lynn Painter books. I bought these off of Amazon, and I bought this. I have already read the Better Than the Movies. This was a very, very good book. I really did enjoy it. And I decided to pick up The Do-Over because my oldest, my 14-year-old, actually wanted to do some reading, which is shocking. She never wants to read. But one of her friends was reading the Better Than the Movies, and she wanted to read it. And then she also tried to pick up The Do-Over, but she didn't like this one because I guess she didn't realize like the Groundhog Day type storyline. And she got annoyed. But I have not read The Do-Over. I do plan on reading it because I did really enjoy Better Than the Movies. And so far, I've liked the Lynn Painter books that I have read to this point. So we have both of these that I bought off of Amazon, and I will be reading this hopefully soon. Then we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is on my May TBR. This came out and was released in April. I did end up buying it on... Did I buy you on Amazon or did I buy you on Barnes & Noble? I think I bought this on Barnes & Noble, but I have not read it. This is on my May TBR. This is actually the book that I'm going to be reading next after the book I'm about to talk about. And so this is going to be read, and I'm very excited to read it. Then we have the book that I'm currently reading is Emily Henry's Funny Story. This was, again, a new release that came out in the month of April. So this I am reading in May, and so far it's okay. I'm like on page 80 something. I'm not really a fan of Emily Henry's writing. I didn't really care for Happy Place, and Beach Read I did enjoy. That one I actually liked way better than Happy Place. So I'm hoping that this will be more on the lines of my enjoyment like I had with Beach Read. But so far it's going pretty well, and I'm enjoying the story. So we have this new release by Emily Henry. Then we have the new release by Sarah Adams. This is I think it's part of like an interconnected standalone with the cheat sheet, which I did just read last month. So I have not read the rule book yet, but I did want to read it because I have enjoyed the books that I've read by Sarah Adams, and I wanted to have this on my bookshelf because I did want to have all of her books because they're just quick little reads. They're just a nice little, they're a nice little palate cleanser in between like really heavy fantasy books or thrillers or anything like that. This is just a nice little romance that is a nice little book to read when you don't really know what you want to read next. Or if you're in a book slump and you want to try to get out of it, I feel like these are like the great additions to your collection to help you get out of a book slump. So the rule book, I bought this on Barnes & Noble, and I have not read it, but I plan on reading it very, very, very soon. Then we have Taming 7. This I bought off of Amazon. This was another one that it just now got released, so I have not read it yet. This one I'm probably not going to read for a little bit because in the author's note, it says that this is the 5th installment in the Boys of Tommen series and the first book for Gibbsy and Claire. So I know from Binding Keeping 13 and then Saving and Redeeming 6, the first book always kind of ends on a cliffhanger, and you really want to read the next book shortly thereafter. And because the second book of Gibbsy's story has not been released yet, I don't think I'm going to read this right away. I think I'm going to read this closer to when that book becomes released, so that way I can read this and then immediately pick up the next book. So this is probably the only book in this stack that I have no intention of reading right away, but I wanted to have it just in case I change my mind and I want to dive into Gibbsy's story. That way at least I have the first book, but I don't think I'm going to read it until the second book is released. And then the last book that I have in my April book purchases is Just for the Summer. This I just finished last night. This is the new release by Abby Jimenez. I ended up giving this 4.75. This was really good. It did not make me cry like I saw other people that was reading it. So Abby had even said that people who picked up Just for the Summer for like a quick little, cute summer rom-com book. I mean, that's kind of what the book cover looks like. She had put that, people are looking for this type of book and then they aren't expecting for like to be emotionally destroyed while reading it. So I was anticipating a very emotional book, and there were 2 times in the book that I got a little like misty-eyed, but like tears did not come down my face. I didn't have to blow my nose. It wasn't that level of emotion. It was a little emotional, but not like I expected. I expected to be like crying, and that didn't happen to me. But it was still like, it was a really good book. I did enjoy it. I am very glad I have it. I'm very glad I finally was able to read it. And I think if you have not read it, you definitely should. So that is all of the books that I bought in the first quarter of 2024. I will say I have put myself on a book buying ban in the month of May, at least for the month of May, if not into June, because I have all of these books now that I need to read, and I don't want to buy any more books. I want to, for at least the next, I'm going to say 3 months. I'm going to say for the month of May, June, and July, we're going to get through the summer with no more buying of books. I will caveat it though, I have already pre-ordered books earlier, like in January. I went ahead and did some pre-orders for books that will be releasing soon. So those I'm not counting because those are already taken care of. But I am not going to be buying any new books for the next 3 months because I need to read what I own. And if there are any new books that come out that I just have to read, I'm going to see if I can get them on Kindle Unlimited or the library. But I'm going to try to stay away from buying any new books at least until August. Hopefully I can do that. Hopefully my self-control is strong enough that I can not buy any more books. So that is going to be it for this video. If you've made it to this spot, go ahead and leave me like a $$ emoji or like a money bag emoji or something like that to let me know that you made it to the end of the video. And if you have not had a chance to subscribe, please make sure you do so. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.